My name is Maya Brennan, and I am 34 years old. And on a Tuesday morning in October, my mother rang my doorbell after 9 years of silence and stood on my porch with a carry-on suitcase and a folded piece of paper and the specific expression of a woman who had prepared what she is going to say and believes it is going to work. I want to tell you about the bottom drawer of my desk before I tell you what was on that piece of paper, because the bottom drawer is the center of this story, and everything that happened at my kitchen table that Tuesday makes no sense without it. The bottom drawer held a navy blue binder, 3 inches thick, red pen labels on every tab, 29 items filed in chronological order across 9 years, each one dated, each one sourced, each one a piece of documentation that I had not collected out of spite or strategy, but out of the specific organized instinct of a woman who had been a financial analyst for 10 years and who understood at a cellular level that you do not throw away documentation, ever. The binder was a record, every returned birthday card still in its envelope with the red stamp across the front, every voicemail transcript printed and filed, every screenshot forwarded by a mutual friend who could not believe what they were seeing, every piece of evidence that my family had spent 9 years systematically erasing me from their lives, not because I had done something wrong, but because I had married someone they refused to accept. My husband is Black. His name is Daniel. We have been together for 12 years and married for 9, and we have 2 children, twin boys named Marcus and Leo, who are 7 years old and who have for 7 years had their photographs returned in sealed envelopes by a grandmother who had never met them and apparently intended to keep it that way. Until the numbers changed. I need to explain the numbers before I explain the Tuesday morning because my mother showing up with a suitcase had nothing to do with regret and everything to do with arithmetic. Daniel and I had built a compliance software company called Clearline over 10 years. 2 weeks before my mother rang the doorbell, Clearline had gone public on the NASDAQ. Our stock opened at $19 and closed at $23. Our market cap was $410 million. Daniel and I held a combined stake that made the headlines in 2 fintech newsletters and 1 regional business publication. My mother did not know what NASDAQ meant. She had called 3 people from her church to find out. She rang the doorbell at 10:14 on a Tuesday morning. I was standing at the kitchen window when the taxi pulled up. I watched her get out slowly, beige cardigan, black slacks, the pearl studs she had worn to church every Sunday since I was a girl. She stood on the sidewalk for 30 seconds before she walked up the path. She was looking at the house the way an appraiser looks at a property. I noticed that. I noted it. I opened the door. She said my name. I said, "Come in." I did not hug her. I led her to the kitchen. I need to take you back to the beginning before I tell you what happened at the kitchen table, because the Tuesday morning is the last chapter, and you need the first ones to understand what it cost to arrive at it. Daniel and I met in graduate school. We were in the same financial modeling course, and he sat 1 row ahead of me and solved problems with the specific calm of a man who had been doing this his whole life and found it genuinely pleasurable. We started studying together. We started talking. We dated for 2 years before I brought him home. I had been managing the approach carefully, not because I was ashamed of him, because I knew my family, and I had spent 25 years learning the specific calculus of what they could accept and what they could not, and I was trying to give the introduction the best possible conditions. I had been talking about Daniel for a year before the visit. I had described him accurately and in detail. I had let them form a picture of who he was as a person before they knew what he looked like. The Sunday dinner was my mother's idea. She cooked the meal she made for important occasions. The table was set with the good dishes. Everything on the surface was the performance of welcome. My father cleared his throat twice and said almost nothing. My mother smiled too wide and called Daniel David for the first 40 minutes before correcting herself without apology. My sister Phoebe leaned across the table at dessert and said in a voice designed to sound like concern, "He seems nice, but you know Mom isn't going to be okay with this." I did know. I had known for longer than I wanted to admit. What I had not admitted was how final it was going to be. Daniel proposed at our kitchen table on a Wednesday evening, with a conversation rather than a production. He said, "I want to build a life with you. I want to build something real. Will you let me?" I said yes before he finished the sentence. I called home that night. My mother picked up on the third ring. I told her. The line went quiet for 7 seconds. I counted. She said, "You need to think about what this means for this family. Not congratulations, not tell me about the ring, a warning delivered in the voice of a woman who had already made her decision and was giving me the courtesy of advance notice before she executed it." 2 weeks later, a letter arrived, 4 paragraphs on cream stationery in my mother's cursive. The last paragraph said, "If you walk down that aisle, you are choosing him over this family. We will not attend, and if you marry him, do not expect to walk back through our door." I read the letter 3 times. I folded it. I put it in a manila folder. I did not know yet that the manila folder was going to become a binder. I just knew that something had been said that needed to be kept, that documents like this did not get thrown away because someday they might be the only accurate record of what actually happened. We got married at the county courthouse on a Saturday in June. 14 guests, all friends, all people who had chosen to be there rather than people who needed to be managed. Daniel's mother flew in from out of state and brought food and held my face in both of her hands and said, "Welcome home, baby." My own mother did not come. My father did not come. The wedding photo I sent them came back 11 days later with a red stamp across the envelope. Item 2. Wedding photo returned. That was the beginning of the binder. The years between the wedding and the Tuesday morning are the years the binder was built. And I want to tell you about them honestly, because the binder is not a dramatic artifact. It is the record of ordinary things, ordinary acts of rejection repeated with such consistency that they accumulated into something that needed documentation. Year 1, I called my mother 4 times, voicemail every time. I left messages that were short and careful and chosen because I knew they might be the last ones she ever listened to. I sent cards for her birthday, my father's birthday, Christmas. All 3 came back with the red stamp. My father sent 1 text in February. 4 words, "Your mother needs time." I printed it, filed it, dated it. My sister posted a family photo that spring. My parents, my sister, her boyfriend at the time. Captioned, "Sunday dinner with my people." I was not in the photo. I had not been invited. I printed the screenshot. In year 3, Daniel and I started Clearline in our garage. 2 monitors, a space heater, a whiteboard from a secondhand store. I built the financial models, Daniel built the product. We launched with 4 clients and a free trial that crashed on the first day. I added nothing to the binder that year because I was too busy to document anything except cash flow projections and compliance checklists. In year 4, the twins were born, Marcus first, Leo 40 minutes later. Daniel cried holding them both in the hospital room and said they are going to know they are loved every single day. Daniel's mother flew in and stayed 2 weeks. She cooked and cleaned and rocked Leo at 3 in the morning while I fed Marcus. She brought blankets she had made and silver bracelets engraved with their birthdays. I sent my mother ultrasound photos 5 months before the birth. Returned. I sent birth announcements for each twin. Returned. I sent photographs, the boys sleeping, Leo gripping Daniel's finger, Marcus on my shoulder. Returned. 3 items added to the binder, items 13, 14, 15. My sister texted a mutual friend from high school that year. The friend forwarded it to me without comment. Phoebe's text read, "Her kids don't have real grandparents. That's what she chose." I sat in the nursery with that message on my screen for 11 minutes. Then I printed it. Item 16, red pen, dated. By year 6, Clearline had 40 employees. By year 7, we had secured a Series B, $12 million, post-money valuation $68 million.
Someone from my hometown viewed my LinkedIn profile 3 times in 1 week. I could see the location. I noted it. The church gossip chain had apparently discovered what a Series B meant. My mother told a mutual friend she had always known Daniel was smart. 7 years of silence, and suddenly she had always known. By year 8, Forbes ran a companies to watch piece. Clearline was number 47. 2 weeks later, my friend Tess called from Ohio. She had been accidentally added to a family group chat and had taken screenshots before she was removed. I sat in a parking lot and read 7 screenshots of my family tracking Clearline's financials, discussing how to approach me, Phoebe advising my mother to layer the requests and make it look like a family investment rather than a demand. My mother responding, "She has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family." I printed the screenshots. Item 26. Family group chat. Financial tracking confirmed. Red pen, dated. 2 months before the IPO, Phoebe texted me for the 9th time in 9 years. "Hey, just thinking about you. How are the kids?" She followed up 5 days later suggesting she was going to be in my city and would love to see me. I met her at a cafe. She asked 32 questions about the house, the schools, the car, the company's funding status. She photographed my car through the cafe window. She did not ask whether I was well. She did not mention the 9 years. She did not say she was sorry. I drove home and added item 28, Phoebe reconnaissance visit, 32 questions documented, vehicle photographed, 0 apologies offered.
My mother sat at my kitchen table with a glass of water she had not touched and the folded piece of paper she placed between us, with the specific precision of a woman who has been planning this moment. She read it aloud. Retirement fund, $500,000. College fund for Phoebe's son, $200,000. My father's medical costs, $45,000. Mortgage payoff on the family home, $180,000. Monthly support, $3,000. Total, $925,000. She folded the paper, placed it on the table, looked at me. She said, "This is what families do. Your father worked his whole life. It is time to give back." I looked at the list for a long moment. I noted that not one line on it contained the word sorry. Not one bullet point acknowledged the 9 years, the returned photographs, the twins who had never met her, the 9 birthday cards returned unopened, the wedding photo stamped in red. Not one word that recognized what the number $925,000 was actually being asked of. I picked up the list. I stood up. I walked to my office. I opened the bottom drawer. I lifted out the navy blue binder, and I carried it back to the kitchen, and I set it on the table directly next to her list. 2 documents, 1 page, 5 bullet points, $925,000. 3 inches thick, 29 items, 9 years. She looked at the binder. She said, "What is that?" I sat down. I placed my hands flat on the table. "You brought a list. I brought one too." I opened the binder to tab 1, year 1, and I started reading. I did not raise my voice. I did not perform. I read the way I read quarterly reports to a board, factual, organized, item by item. Item 1, birthday card, mailed September 12th, returned September 23rd, still sealed. I placed the envelope on the table. Item 2, wedding photo, mailed June 14th, returned June 25th. I laid them out one by one, white rectangles with red stamps arranged in a row between us, like the receipts they were. My mother's mouth opened, then closed. She stared at the growing row of envelopes, every one of them a door she had slammed. "These are the birthday cards I sent you every year for 9 years," I said. Every single one came back. She pressed her fingers to her lips. Her eyes were wet. I moved to tab 2. Item 4, voicemail, January 7th, duration 47 seconds, no callback. Item 5, text from Dad, 4 words, February 12th, your mother needs time. I set it on the table. 9 years, Mom. How much more time did you need? I want to tell you what happened when I reached item 23, because that item was the one that produced the only moment of genuine truth in the entire conversation. Item 23 was a birthday card from year 7. Inside the card was a photograph of Marcus and Leo at their school fall festival. Matching flannels, face paint, Marcus missing his 2 front teeth, Leo grinning so wide his eyes were almost shut. On the back of the photo, I had written, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." This card had come back like all the others, but the envelope was different. The flap had been opened and resealed with a strip of clear tape. Someone had taken out the card and the photograph, looked at them, and put them carefully back before sending them away. I held the envelope up. This card was opened. Someone looked at their faces, held this photograph, then sealed it back up and sent it back. Who opened it? My mother's hands went flat on the table. Her eyes were on the envelope, the tape. She whispered something so quiet I almost missed it. She said, "I was afraid. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong, that I lost 9 years for nothing, that I pushed away my grandchildren because I was too proud to—" She stopped, swallowed. For 2 seconds, I saw something real in her face, not the performance she had been maintaining, actual fear, the kind that lives under pride for so long it forgets how to come out as anything else. Then her chin lifted, her posture stiffened. She said, "But you made your choice." The moment of honesty closed like a door. I placed her demand list on the left side of the table. I placed the binder on the right. Her list, $925,000, 5 bullet points, 0 apologies. The binder, 29 items, 9 years of evidence that you erased your daughter not because she did something wrong, but because you married someone you refused to accept. She said, "We gave you everything growing up." I said, "You raised me. That is what parents do. It is not a debt." She had no answer. I watched her search for one and not find it. I said, "You did not come here because you missed me. You came because the numbers changed." She did not deny it. I said, "If you want to know your grandchildren, that starts with an apology, a real one. Not to me, to them. And it does not start today. It starts when you are ready to mean it." She picked up her list, picked up her suitcase, walked to the front door. She stopped. She turned around. She opened her mouth. She closed it. She walked out. The door did not slam. It clicked. The sound of someone leaving who knew she had not gotten what she came for and also understood, somewhere underneath everything, exactly why. My father called the following week. Not my mother, my father. His voice was older than I remembered. He said, "Baby girl, I saw you on the news." He said, "I am proud of you." He said it with the weight of a man who understood what those words had cost to wait this long to say. But then I listened to the structure of it. He called after the IPO, not after the wedding, not after the twins were born, not after any of the 9 birthday cards. After the IPO. He was proud of me on paper. He had always been proud of me on paper. What he had never been was brave enough to pick up the phone when there were no millions attached to the call. I saved the voicemail. I did not add it to the binder. It was too sad for the binder. My mother sent a text 4 days after she left, 63 carefully edited words that contained every variation of family and future and what we could be, and not one single variation of sorry. I printed it. Item 29. First contact from her in 9 years. 63 words, 0 apologies. Red pen, dated. I put the binder back in the bottom drawer. 29 items, 9 years. 2 documents had sat on a kitchen table between 2 women, and only one of them had told the truth about what the 9 years contained. Daniel found me sitting at the desk that evening. He put his hand on my shoulder without saying anything, because he has always understood that some things do not require words, and that his presence is its own language. I covered his hand with mine. What my mother came for was money. What she left without was the ability to pretend the 9 years had been a misunderstanding. They were documented, they were dated, they were filed in red pen in a navy blue binder in the bottom drawer of a desk in a house she had never visited, owned by a daughter she had returned to sender 9 times across 9 years. Records do not argue, they do not forgive, and they do not condemn. They simply tell the truth. And I had 9 years of truth. That was enough. That has always been enough. That is my story. Drop your city in the comments, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.